I never believed in signs until I kept meeting Geminis, and they really were like the most toxic people.
Well, I don't think Capricorns are inherently toxic. All of the qualities of being an artist, which can be flaky. And for me, right now, I really look for consistency. I want somebody that I can trust. I think that's really important. I really like to have people around me that are gonna poke fun at me all the time because I can get a little bit too serious. A lot of times I feel like the way that I did it that was kind of what worked best for me was like a shared situation. So like maybe I would do something like get the hotel, but then the partner would get something like the plane ticket or dinner or, you know, and then it would balance out in that way. And then like we wouldn't really be keeping track of how much money is being spent.
They want to have the boss bitch attitude, right? But they don't realize that it comes with the other side of the boss responsibility.
When I really am putting in that kind of work where I'm like constantly absorbed in it, you know, it's so much more important to be kind to others because it is so easy to be overwhelmed.
Welcome to Unattainable. Glad to have you with us. I'm your host, Zach Evans. And first of all, thanks to all of our listeners. We have been getting a ton of growth over the last couple weeks, and we have to thank all of you guys for that. Today, we got a special guest on the show. This is Kaylee. Kaylee, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the camera, name, what you do, and your star sign.
Hi, I'm Kaylee, and I work in marketing for cosmetics, and my star sign is Aquarius.
I know all about Aquarius.
Yeah.
I've had a couple close relationships that did not end well with your people.
Yeah, it's so funny because I'm an Aquarius, but I don't think I've ever dated an Aquarius, actually.
It's bad news. I've only had a drink thrown in my face twice in my life.
Oh, God.
Both of them were from Aquarius.
Yeah. See, I tend to have that problem with the Geminis, but...
I mean, Gemini's even worse.
Yeah.
It's funny. I never believed in signs until I kept meeting Geminis, and they really were like the most toxic people.
Oh, really? Yeah. You know what I thought was funny was I noticed a lot of my friend groups were like the same sign, and then like other people's friend groups were also similar signs.
So what is your friend group mainly?
They're mainly Aquarius and Capricorn, and then a little bit of Leo.
See, you can't trust Capricorns either.
Why do you say that?
Do people tell you that you're toxic or have red flags? Because you don't seem like you do by your personality, but then you hang out with all these toxic people and, you know.
I hang out with toxic people. What do you mean?
Based on their signs.
Oh, well, I don't think Capricorns are inherently toxic. I don't think anyone's inherently toxic, you know, based on their sign. I think that's a little bit too far, you know what I mean? Like, your sign is supposed to tell you the good things and the bad things about yourself, right? So it's kind of like this duality of like, like where your qualities could be good or bad, but it's normally the same quality, right? So it's like for an Aquarius, they tend to be kind of creative and they want to try new things, right? So that could be a good thing where you're being like, if you're being an artist and you're traveling, you know, but that could also make you very flaky and that you're never around and, you know, and so it kind of is like the two sides of a coin. So for any like bad thing in a sign, you'd have a good thing as well. It's just kind of where you put your energy into it as that sign.
I would agree with that. I used to be a very toxic individual.
Oh.
Back in my villain era.
In your villain era, right?
But now I'm very shy and romantic, of course. Well, I actually had all three sides. I grew up like the nice guy, simp, polite. My parents taught me always be so nice to everybody. And then I just got friend zoned and cheated on and flaked on so many times. I was like, fuck this. Went the completely opposite path. Became the biggest asshole, fuckboy, sociopath, narcissist. Did that for like 8 years. And now I kind of matured out of that phase.
Yeah. So what makes you think like, what changed in you that you wanted to get out of your villain era?
So this is my villain origin story.
Okay.
So every fuckboy has a villain origin story of why they became a fuckboy, right? So when I was in high school, very shy, my parents didn't have money, very awkward around girls. And because of that, I had a lot of difficulty getting girls. So much so that people started calling me gay around school. Like they started this rumor. So my junior year, this girl, my buddy told me, oh, this girl likes you. And I was like fucking pumped. I was like, Zach, don't fuck this up, you know? So we start dating and I become like the biggest simp, nice guy ever, right? Every Monday, I would wake up at 6 a.m. and I would drive to the Walmart between our houses. and I'd pick up some flowers and some purple Skittles because that was her favorite like candy or whatever, and write a note, and I would like leave it on her doorstep for her to like surprise her, you know.
That's so sweet. I love that. Yeah.
But then,
okay, of course there's an and then, right?
I do that for 3.5 years. Now we're in college, we're like getting our degrees, whatever. And my buddy calls me and he goes, yo, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but I'm at a party last night. Julie goes into one of the rooms with this guy. They're in there for like half hour. 2 + 2 = 4. You know what I mean? And I was like, no, we're in love. She would never do that to me, blah, 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 because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So the next day I go confront her. I'm like at her door. I'm like shaking, right? And I like knock on the door and she opens it up. And instead of being like, oh my God, you like surprised me at my school, she was like, what are you doing here? And that moment instantly I knew she cheated on me, right? And the worst part was the guy she cheated on me with was the guy she would always complain about. Oh, he's an asshole. He's hooking up with 2 of my friends at the same time without them knowing. He's so annoying, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, this is the guy that you like cheated on me with, right?
That's so weird.
So then I was like, fuck this shit. I'm never putting myself in this situation again. So that's when I became a big fuckboy, sociopath, narcissist for 8 years and just fucked as many girls as humanly possible because I needed to fill the deep insecurity I have about being left, you know? And then finally my YouTube channel blew up, which took like 8 years of like working on it, and make a lot of money, move to LA, move into a mansion, buy a nice car, have a bunch of models around, right? And so I found my ex on Instagram and I followed her. I haven't talked to her in like 8 years, right? So she follows me back. And then that night I post all these stories of in this mansion with models, cars, like all this kind of stuff. And she unfollows me. So I know it kind of hit her, right? So the next day I went to Walmart and I bought a pack of the purple Skittles. And I took a picture of it and I DM'd her the Skittles. And then I said, thank you for making me the man that I am today. And then underneath my last toxic moment, so I can get girls who are way hotter than you with your big nose, fire emoji. And that moment fucking healed my trauma, cured my inner child. And after that, I was like, I really didn't need to be a fuckboy anymore. I was kind of like over it.
Yeah.
So if you ever need to go to therapy, actually, you just have to get back at your ex. That's a secret.
Yeah, exactly. Just, yeah, revenge is the best therapy, huh?
Do you find yourself attracted more of the nice guys or the fuckboys?
You know what? I think I've gone through all of those different waves throughout my dating life, you know? I think, like, I don't know. So my first boyfriend was a musician, so that's kind of like right in the middle. And I think that kind of
that's like red flag central, musician?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, it depends like what part of music they're in, right? Like I think the producers tend to be a little bit more like sturdy. The musicians can be a little bit more on the artsy side, you know, which just kind of comes with all of the qualities of being an artist, which can be flaky and, you know, but I'm an artist as well. So, yeah, I dated a lot of creative people, and then kind of, yeah, same thing, you know, it's like when those relationships fail, I think they hit harder than like they do later on in life, you know, because I think it's like you've never been through it before, right? And so then you're like going through it, and then after that, then you kind of just explode and do stuff, right? So yeah, I dated the bad boys, I dated the bad girls, I dated the good girls, I dated the good boys, you know, and I like kind of figured out, you know, who I was within all of this, you know, and I think that was something that was really important to me, you know, is like, you know, if I'm around somebody, I don't want to be influenced by them so much, you know, and so like dating bad boys kind of turned out to be this thing that, you know, I'll never go back to, just because it was like reflecting bad in me in the way that I was acting when I was around them, you know. And so I was telling you, it's like I've been single for a really long time. And I think that a big effort of that being single is kind of just understanding who I am, you know, and so that when I enter into a new relationship, that I'm coming into it in like a really good way, and like where I'm like very comfortable with myself, and I'm comfortable sharing my story with somebody else as well, you know, and then creating a new one together. So
you go through all these experiences, right?
Yeah.
So you're bisexual?
Yes.
Okay, so guys and girls, fuckboy, nice guys, mean girls, nice girls. And after all that amalgamation, what's your learning? What's your type after all of that? What do
I
you look
think
for?
for me right now, I really look for consistency. And so I want somebody in my life that I can rely on. Like I feel like I have a good thing going with my life, like I'm pretty happy in my career. I'm pretty happy with my friends. I'm happy with like the space that I live in and all of those things. So if I'm going to invite somebody into that, then they really need to be kind of on the same level. And so they need to have a certain level of respect for, themselves and a courteousness, to me and the people around us, right? So it's like I always look, like the classic one is, how does somebody treat a waiter, right? Because that you don't have to be nice to a waiter. And so, but for me, that's like a very big standard is yes, you do actually. And I tend to go for people that kind of go out of their way, in the community where they're actually like engaging with the people around them and they're, active and, they get the coffee and they know the lady's name or, that kind of person. So yeah, I look for reliable. I look for communication. I want somebody that I can trust. I think that's really important.
I don't know if I believe you.
Okay.
I hear people say this thing of, oh, a guy who's nice to the waiter. Who's not nice to the waiter? I've never like met somebody where like I'm at like a thing and they're just like, oh yeah, fuck you, like or like blowing the. Everybody's nice to the waiter. Are there people that aren't? I don't.
Yeah,
meet these people.
there are definitely people that are not nice to waiters.
What do they do? I've never seen this in real life.
You know what? Well, okay, so I told you also I'm from LA, right?
Yeah,
so a lot of times it happens like kind of at like the night scene, right? Like, so people that think that they absolutely deserve to be wherever the heck they are, right? So it's like the ones that like try to push through into the VIP or try to push through into this like nice table or whatever it is. That's like the most often I see it is like,
okay, so they're trying to finesse. They're trying to finesse their way to somewhere.
And so they're trying to say, I'm cool, so let me into VIP, but also because I'm cool, I can't be nice. And I think that's a shame, honestly, just in general. Like, I think the coolest thing is to like be very strong and know that you're cool. And so that's the like number one reason to be gentle and caring to others, is because you're like, I don't know, if you know you're strong, like be nice, that's.
I agree, but I feel like there's more to it than just nice and consistency, just because I feel like there's so many guys that would be nice and consistent. Like that's like most people, right? Like,
so you want to know more than my type, like.
Yeah, like what attracts you to somebody? I feel like the consistency is like, okay, after you already are into a guy, after you're already head over heels for somebody, then you want the consistency and the niceness.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, like some of my favorite things like in relationships is like somebody that can mentally challenge me. And so somebody that like wants to stay up all night and talk about things and like talk about things that are like challenging, like I really like business. And so I want somebody that, I can kind of bounce ideas off of and they're going to give me something that I never thought of. So yeah, like being like a well-rounded thinker, and being able to like kind of have those conversations with me is really important. But also for me, like I work a lot, and I can get very absorbed in that, especially like if I have a gallery coming up or something, like I just get totally absorbed. So I really like to have people around me that are going to poke fun at me all the time because I can get a little bit too serious. And so like having somebody that's going to be like forcing me to like dance or have fun or, go swimming in the ocean or, skateboarding or something like that. Like it's really important because if I'm with somebody that's like too wrapped up in, being like in business or, just it's too boring's not the right word, but it's like when they're too focused that they're not having fun.
You need someone that's going to complement your energy, where you're focused.
Yeah.
You need someone who's more fun.
Mm-hmm.
Does that lead to ever, though, like a level of, like if you were more successful than the guy, and he's fun, but he's not really doing shit with his life. He's just kind of,
So I've gotten into a lot of trouble with this, obviously, and so like, cause I really didn't care, right? I was like, I don't care what the guy does because I care what I do. And like, that's my focus is my work. So it's like, I love that quote from Cher, right? It's like, I don't want to marry a rich man. I want to be a rich man. So then I go around and I'm dating these guys. I don't care what they do, right? And some of them are like working in like the liquor store or the vape store, or they're like not working at all, and they're just kind of like roaming around being like artists or something like that. And all of those ended up like pretty bad because there's like a certain level of self-respect in it, right? So it's like whether you have like the highest paying job or the lowest paying job, like there's something about like respect towards yourself and and having that consistency. So like, even if you're working, say you're working in a restaurant but you love it, that's important to me, or if you're working as a teacher but you love it, like, that's great. Like it's more when people are like, oh no, I don't care at all and I'm just gonna like hang out, that's when I get a little funny because I'm like, okay, I work really hard and so I don't need somebody to like be the CEO of a corporation, but I do need somebody to be passionate about their life.
Ambition. They have to be
ambition, yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Interesting. So do you typically date around your age or older or younger?
I've also done all of those. Yeah, I think it works best like around my age and a little bit older.
I'm surprised you say that, just because it feels like the qualities that you want of more consistency and that kind of thing would match up more with somebody who's older and not kind of over their party all the time phase and stuff like that.
But you have to remember, I still want to have fun, right? So it's like, I like dating guys that like taking me dancing. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, but like I said, I've been single for a really long time
That's
as
true.
well.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I've dated people that were close in age. I've dated people that were way older. I've dated people that were a little bit younger. That was always a bad idea. So it's, yeah.
It's interesting because I've found that as I've got older, it's like more girls are attracted to me than when I was younger, which is kind of weird. I thought it'd be kind of the other way around. But I think it's that more girls are attracted to more of the status and the established nature, usually at some point. But I think it depends on the person.
I think you're totally right. I think it's kind of like what I was saying even about myself. It's like I want somebody that I can rely on, and so, yeah, if you see somebody that they're in a sturdy job and they have, kind of their shit together in that way, it makes you feel comfortable, and it makes you feel supported. And I think that's like what a lot of people look for in relationships is they want to be supported. And so, and like, I mean, not emotionally, not necessarily financially or anything like that, but just, yeah, people want somebody to rely on. And I think also, it's like they say the girls are always like, we mature faster than the boys do. And so I don't know if that's exactly true, but I do know that like goes back to what I was saying. It's like I want somebody that can challenge me mentally. I want somebody that I can talk to and somebody that's going to like give me good ideas, that I can go back and forth with them and like really come up with something great. And yeah, like if I were to meet like a 24-year-old right now, they're probably going to want to like not do any of that. They're going to want to be like, at the bar, or they're going to want to go see music, or they want to go to like be with their friends or whatever. They're not going to be like really into like sitting and talking for hours, whereas like if I were to go on a date right now with somebody that's like 35, they'd probably sit in a wine bar with me like all night and we would just eat cheese and have a great time, so
yeah, I think the maturity thing is interesting because I've become much more picky in the last couple of years on intelligence on the people I date, and not intelligence as in you went to college, you read all these books, but someone who's interested in talking about psychology and the way that people are the way they are, sociology, like that kind of thing is like so important, where just get bored if somebody, oh, they're really hot, but like there's nothing going on other than that.
Yeah, I'm the same way, and I think, to tie it back to that Aquarius thing, it's like I'm always trying to learn something new. So like I always have some project or some thing that I'm researching or learning how to do. And so I get bored pretty easily just with my own self. And that's why I'm like constantly introducing all of these new things into my life. And so, yeah, it's the same with like having somebody around me. Yeah, like they need to have good conversation skills. It's so vital. Yeah.
What about in terms of dating guys versus dating girls? Do you have one you prefer? Is one more for hookups, one is for relationships? How does that work out in your head?
Yeah, so I think I've gone kind of like I've gone really far on both sides of the scale. So when I first came out, I was kind of old for coming out. I was like 18, and I grew up in LA in a very gay friendly house and area and everything. I think I didn't really understand because like I grew up around a bunch of skaters and I always liked guys. And so I just never felt like it was like a big enough deal to actually say, I'm gay. And then one day I was like 18 and I met this girl and I just had such a like big crush on her that I was like, okay, like straight people don't have crushes on girls, And so, yeah, so like when I first came out, I was like 90% wanting to be with women and like 10% wanting to be with guys. And then, yeah, I got a little burned and then I kind of went like the opposite direction where I was like mostly interested in dating guys and like barely interested in girls. I think now it's kind of just like whatever comes its way, like I'm kind of really open to either one. It's looking like guys are kind of winning the race right now, though. So, yeah, because like I am a monogamous person, so it's not like I've had like being bisexual. I don't know. People have asked before, like kind of how does that work? And I always tell people it's like, if you had a couple different types, like you like blonde girls and redheads, and one day you're gonna end up with a redhead. It's like, I don't know, you just get over it. It's like, it doesn't matter that you didn't marry a blonde,
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
What was your longest relationship? Was it a guy or a girl?
Guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that the musician or was that somebody else?
No, it was somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah, it was also a musician, but yeah.
You have a type.
Yeah, I do.
What initially, or how did you guys meet? Let's start with that.
Of my longest relationship?
Yeah.
We actually were like, we met as kids. We were like childhood sweethearts.
Aww.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Really cute until it's not, and it's over.
Yeah. Are you guys were you in the same friend group? Like when it ended, was it like?
No, luckily he lived like in another country, so I could kind of just, yeah. But since I had known him like my whole life, I knew all of his family. So like I kind of stayed in contact with his brother for a really long time. But now I don't talk to any of them.
I see. And what happened to that relationship? Did you break up with him? Did he break up with you?
We did both. I broke up with him and then I got back together and then he broke up with me in the end. I think, he really wanted to get married. He really wanted to have kids. That was kind of like his thing. And that had been his thing for many years, and we'd been together long enough that kind of was like on the table. And I think I wasn't that dedicated to it. I think I was more interested in working and I was more interested in my friends. And, it was kind of like, if he wanted to get married, cool, but, like since we've broken up, my life has gone totally career based, totally like absorbed in my art, totally absorbed in like, how I'm enriching myself. So, I study Spanish and, I try to learn new things. I think that if we were on the same page, I would have gotten married and had kids. And I didn't do that. And so I think that was his thing that he really wanted. And he did that. And that's perfect, And so it's kind of like, yeah, I think we wanted different things in the big picture, so.
What scares me about marriage is I'm from Wisconsin where it's just like whoever you're dating when you graduate either high school or college, you just marry them. It's just like the next thing to do in the path of life. It's very conservative. And what scares me is like, okay, so I went home and visited my friends one time a lot of them were married. And they're like, Zach, when you gonna get married? You know, you're running out of time. You got to find a girl, blah, blah, blah. And so we're talking, and later in the night, I asked one of them, I was like, what is like your best day? Like, what is your, like, if you could like wave a magic wand, have your best day ever, what would you do? And he was like, yeah, you know, my wife's mom takes the kids, and then like my wife goes out with her girlfriends, and we just have like poker night with the boys, watch the game. And they all said a similar situation like that. And I'm like, I do that every single day. Like, your greatest day of existence, I can do whenever I want. And I'm like, I don't know if people really like being married and having kids, or if they just say they do, because like, what are you going to say? Like, no, I fucking hate my kid. Like, you're not going to say that.
Stop talking. They're going to find out.
I know, but it's like scary, you know?
It's my secret. It's like, yeah, I mean, I told you. Yeah, I've been single forever. Same. It's like, you know, like, what's my perfect day? It's like, I don't know, like, I go to Italy, I like wake up, I see the ocean, I have like a really nice breakfast, and I go dancing. Like, you know, but I can do that because I'm not tied down anywhere, you know? And so, yeah, I don't know, but I think connection's good also, you know. I'm kind of on, I don't know, I go back and forth. I think I'm starting to get to the point where I'm kind of over being single. But yeah, it does come with a lot of benefits where you can kind of just like do what you do, and you don't have to like include anybody in the decisions you make. I don't know. But then at the same time, so it's like I'm telling you, like, okay, so my best day was that I was in Italy and I like woke up and I saw the ocean. But like when I was sitting there, I was also thinking, you know, I was like, this is like the most beautiful situation that I had been in that year. And it kind of felt very lonely to be sitting there by myself. And I was like, you know, I think maybe this is the time that I need to start opening up to, you know, whether it's inviting friends with me or inviting, you know, a partner with me. But yeah, just like connecting a little bit more, because like I've been such a lone wolf my whole life, or not my whole life, but for a long time. And, you know, I travel alone, I work alone, I live alone. It's like all of those things, you know, so.
Yeah, it is interesting. So like whenever I travel, I got accused of being a sugar daddy one time.
Oh.
By my friend, because so I was raised very like chivalrous. Like my dad's super like old school. So he's like, yeah, if you take a girl on a date, you're paying for it. You know, if you're walking on the sidewalk, you walk on the car side. So if, you know, cars coming, I can like stop it with one hand, you know, protect my girl with the other hand. Like man shit,
yeah.
you know. And so whenever I travel, if I'm dating somebody, like I always take them with, and I always pay for everything, because I would feel weird being like, hey babe, like, did you get the Venmo request for the $87 from 70? Like, no, I'm a man, I'll fucking pay for it. You know, like it just feels like that. So one of my friends, she's like super into the sugar daddy scene. She has like 10 sugar daddies, and like this guy pays her rent, this guy buys her purses. She has like all the infinity stones of sugar daddies like lined up.
Whoa, yeah.
And in front of all my friends, she's like, Zach, you know you're a sugar daddy. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, you literally just took a girl on a trip, paid for hotels, flights, all the excursions, everything. And she's like, every guy's a sugar daddy. Just what level sugar daddy are you? Because she's like, every guy pays for drinks or pays for dinner or pays for whatever. And at some point it's like, okay, we're all paying, just in a different way. And I was like, I didn't have a good comeback. And she kind of got me in front of my friends, so I was kind of upset about it. But where would you draw the line?
I don't know. I think she kind of got me too. You know, I mean, I have no idea. And I also feel like I've been in both kinds of relationships, you know, and especially like with being gay, I think that comes up a lot, because you don't have a specific person that's just, that everyone knows it's going to be the person paying or whatever, you know. I think she got me. I don't know. A lot of times I feel like the way that I did it, that was kind of what worked best for me, was like a shared situation. So like maybe I would do something like get the hotel, but then the partner would get something like the plane ticket or dinner or, and then it would balance out in that way. And then like we wouldn't really be keeping track of how much money is being spent.
You're saying with a girl or with a guy or with both?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't really know. Because it really depends on the person, right? Like, because you don't want to put a person in a weird position, right? So if you're going to Hawaii and, you want to be with your partner, you asking them to come with you without paying could be putting some kind of pressure on them. And that's not really the intention of inviting somebody to Hawaii, right? So if you just want them to come, then yeah, of course you pay, you pay, and you have to make sure you're picking the right person that you're paying for. But, I think you just do those things. And I think, once you're with somebody a little bit longer, then it starts to be a lot more mutual, where it's like somebody, you're kind of both paying for stuff, and then you're not really keeping track as much, it's like, I don't know, one day I get the groceries, one day you get the groceries, call it even. Maybe I got the groceries 7 weeks in a row, but maybe you got dinner all of those weekends, like, I don't know. Like, yeah. So I kind of like a balance.
I see.
Yeah.
So even because you said you were in a couple relationships where you kind of were shouldering more of that burden.
Oh, I'm normally shouldering most of it.
Even with guys though?
Yeah.
Interesting. So you really don't care about money when it comes to like what you look for in a
No.
person.
And so like recently I went on a date with somebody that was from Nashville. So it's kind of what you're talking about. Yeah. So like very chivalrous. I can't say that word. How do you say that?
Chivalrous. Yeah.
Chivalrous. But he was this really nice guy from Nashville. And he did all of the things, right? Like he opened the door for me. He picked a nice restaurant. He paid for everything. He was a really nice guy. And it was funny because like when we were about to pay, I was like, hey, like, do you want to split this? And he just looked at me and he goes, no, we don't do that. And then I was just like, okay, And so for me, it was kind of like a really nice thing because I'm not used to it. And so I was like pretty impressed by the whole situation, just because I'm like, oh, like that's really nice. Like nobody ever does that for me. And so it made me feel like special, And so if that's your intention, you want to make somebody feel special, I think, yeah, paying for them is totally fair,
Even more than that, I don't know. It's like bizarre to me that maybe just because how I was raised, it's just like, no, that's just how it is. Like I'm the guy, I'm going to pay for it. It feels weird to me. You know what I mean? It just feels weird. I don't know. And to be fair, like I typically like the more traditional, like masculine, feminine roles in relationships. That's just where I thrive. Like I think I have a very dominant personality type. And because of that, I'm very attracted to girls who are very feminine. Right. And I don't think you necessarily like if you're a girl and you're like boss bitch, CEO type, cool. I respect you for that, but like I'm not attracted to that, Like
Right.
I'm attracted to girls who are very much in their feminine energy, which usually means they're not making that much money just because they don't have those hard charging, the work ethic and the ability to deal with like emotional pressure. They're just very supportive and caring and kind, and that's like what I kind of like in girls.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like with that, I think you're right on track. It's like if that's what you want in your life, I think when you look at traditional gender roles, in the house, like a woman does so much traditionally, right? Like this person is cleaning for you, they're cooking, they're, doing the laundry, making sure everything's nice, lighting candles, stuff like that, and so you want that person to focus on those things. And so typically that's going to be somebody that's like, they just really love cooking, and for them it's just a way that they show love to somebody is that they like cooking, and so you want them to focus on those things that they love. And I think paying for somebody in that way allows that person to kind of thrive in that role. If you're expecting somebody to kind of be that traditional feminine and you're insisting that they're paying for half of everything, or that they're working like crazy or something, then it's like kind of contradictory of that, and
Yeah, the problem with today's society is Beyonce and Andrew Tate are fucking it up for everybody, because girls are all pushed oh, be like Beyonce, strong, independent woman, TikTok video, female empowerment, all good, right? But the problem is what a lot of girls I see do is they want to have the boss bitch attitude, right? But they don't realize that it comes with the other side of the boss responsibility. And if you have the attitude of a boss bitch, all right, well, you better be working 12-hour days. And when it's 3 a.m. and something goes wrong and someone has to fix the problem and it's stressful, you have to deal with that shit. And on the flip side, guys watch 3 Andrew Tate videos and they're like, I am the alpha. And it's like, what are you the alpha of? You're a Call of Duty clan? Like, you can't just proclaim yourself the boss. You actually have to put in the work and the responsibility. So now you have two people dating each other. Nobody's doing shit. Everybody just like is trying to look cool. And then it's just like the roles have to be fulfilled in some way or another.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, I don't know, like, I think I spend my whole life trying to be that boss bitch, and I try to also be that person without the attitude, and I think for me, like, when I really am putting in that kind of work where I'm like constantly absorbed in it, it's so much more important to be to be kind to others, because it is so easy to be overwhelmed. Like, I think where the like boss bitch attitude comes from is that when people are CEOs, they're so overwhelmed that they don't know how to like pause for a second, or they don't know how to like start with kindness. It's like they're just so overwhelmed. It's like you ask them a question and they just answer it as fast as they can because they know they're going to have another question that came in 1 minute ago, or already, so yeah, I think, just pulling on the attitudes, it's like, yeah, you're not going to get anywhere, are you? It's what you said, you're going to just be playing Call of Duty with like some ego issues, Yeah. So,
and that's what I think is like, there's a reason that there's these two roles, and whether sometimes the girl fills the masculine role and the guy fills more of the supporting role. Okay, cool. Or reverse. But like somebody has to fill them. And like, so like for me, I grew up and like I said, my dad's very old school. So like when I remember one time I came home, I like fell off my bike. I bruised my knee and I'm like crying. I'm like, Daddy, my knee hurts. Wah. And he literally just looks at me and he's like, good thing you're tough, and just walks away. Like none of this little Gen Z boo-boo, are you okay? Let's talk about your feelings and ride bird scooters together,
My parents were the same way. We used to go like four-wheeling and dirt biking and stuff. And I remember like falling really bad one time, and my parents, they both looked at me and they like tried to get me back on that dirt bike as fast as they possibly could, because they were like, the minute that you fall and you don't get up is the minute that you're gonna be scared of something, right? So it's like, yeah, like kind of babying like falling or whatever, it doesn't help. You want to just like get over it so that you can move forward. It's what makes you stronger, right? It's like, yeah, you gotta fall and pick back up.
Yeah, I have because of that, I'm very much like a problem solver, which has been a positive and a negative for me. Because on one hand, shit goes wrong, I'll deal with it, I'll fix it, let's fucking go. It's like that attitude. But then it also does, in past relationships, it's made it difficult to understand that sometimes people just need you to affirm their feelings and not to fix the problem. And sometimes people are just venting. And I'm like, okay, just do this and do this. And she's like, no, I just want to fucking vent about my boss at work. I'm fucking pissed. And that's it,
Yeah, and I think that kind of communication, it takes time, It's like throughout our entire life, I think we'll always find better ways to communicate with one another. It's just something, it changes. Yeah, it's like something might have worked in one situation, right? Like solving the problem. And then you might get a little bit older and somebody might tell you something and you might look at them and you say, do you want a solution or do you want a listening ear? Or like, what do you want from me? Like, not in a bad way, but like, it's like, how could I support this person the best, But yeah, you're not just like born like that, like it takes time,
Do you, so when you like have another relationship, do you see yourself more as the provider role or more as the like feminine role?
Oh, I tend to date very feminine guys, I feel
You
like.
date the pretty boys.
Yeah, I mean, even like if they're not super like outwardly pretty, they tend to be a lot more gentle than I am.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, so it is switched, but yeah, I think you're right. Like, I think that there needs to be some kind of balance, like within a partnership, and so you can't have it be like too soft, and you can't have it be too alpha. It needs to be that balance,
Hmm.
and so it's like, yeah, if I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, I'm the boss bitch. Yeah, I'm not going to date somebody that's like that either. And
Mm.
I think you were kind of saying the same thing about yourself. It's like you have all of these things that you're producing and running. And so, yeah, you want somebody that's going to be gentle. And you,
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny. I argue with my one of my best friends about this because he's like entrepreneur. He's like, I gotta find a wife that's an entrepreneur because like we will click and we will match. And I'm like, I thought that for a long time, and I've dated a couple girls who are like that, and it never works out because it's like we're all doing the same shit, but nobody's doing this side. It's like we're all
exactly.
like we're not complimenting each other. We're just both like hard charging on the same shit all the time,
Yeah,
beating it to death.
that's exactly what I found myself. It's like when I dated guys that were like that, we never had time for each other.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the biggest problem. You just never see them.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like I don't want to necessarily ask somebody to like adjust to my schedule. But somebody that doesn't work the same career as me, their schedule is just more open than mine, and it makes it a lot easier.
Hmm.
So, um, yeah, I don't blame you.
It's so crazy to me because like your personality doesn't come off like hard charging very much, but obviously you're doing a lot of shit. You got your makeup shit, you got the marketing thing, like you have a lot of stuff going on, but you don't come off like that personality type that would be
Yeah.
naturally like that.
Thank you. Honestly, I feel like that's something that I've been working on a lot. It's kind of what I was saying earlier. It's like when you have all of this, I don't know what's the right word. It's like you have a lot of things going on, right? It's so easy to just get like short with people or overwhelmed or rude and those kinds of things. But I find, because I have a good job and because I have power in that job, it works so much nicer and it connects better with people when I'm nice. And so it's like, I don't know. It's kind of like the way I think about it is like the way that people show money, right? So it's like if you have somebody that has like come from a really long line of money in their family, they're probably going to dress pretty casually and you're not going to be able to really tell that they come from money. Whereas if somebody's coming from like coming into money and they just got it and it was like their own hard work that they got super rich, you're going to see that more. And so they're going to like have like the really nice clothes and they're going to have like the really nice car because they're like, I did it, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Whereas like somebody that was raised in that, it's like they have it. So I kind of want to be the boss bitch where I'm like, I have it. And so I'm going to be shy, like not shy with it, but I'm going to be kind with it. And I want to be, I want people to feel like they can talk to me. I want people to feel like, they can ask questions or connect with me. I don't want to be so overwhelmed that I like can't laugh about anything. And that's not a good way to live
Hmm.
either.
Yeah, it's funny. Somebody told me the similar thing, like, oh yeah, new money is flashy, old money is like you wouldn't even know they have money based on how they dress. And they're like, Zach, you're new money. I was like, yup, you're goddamn right.
Well, it makes sense, because you're excited because you did something really cool, and now you're able to like live in that experience. Like, of course,
And
you
there's
know.
definitely, I was talking to my friend about this, as sad as this maybe seems, there's definitely still a part of my psyche that's like, all of you fuckers that made fun of me in high school, look at me now, bitch. It's kind of like still
Exactly.
that part of my psyche, but also like I love that energy of having like a chip on my shoulder. I was actually telling my friend too, like now that I kind of like made it, I'm kind of good. I kind of miss the days where I was like more hungry. Like I'm still hungry. I still have like the work ethic, but I don't have that just like wake up at 5:30 a.m. every day and fucking grind because I need to fucking show everybody. You know what I mean? I kind of miss that. That's actually a big reason I don't want to go to therapy. It's because I don't want to like take away too much of my trauma. I want to
Well,
like keep my
yeah.
trauma, get that oomph
I'll give you an easier one. So this morning I spent all morning in the fashion district. So if you want to be around that energy, I mean, they open up the flower district at 4 a.m. And so you can just kind of like live in it, and then you don't have to, I don't know, you just pretend. Be around
What do you think about therapy?
I okay, let me figure out what I want to say.
Like, how do I say this without not
I was like on a roll before. Yeah, that one stumped me. Okay, how do I feel about therapy?
Have you ever tried it?
Yes, I did try therapy. I think therapy is a good thing. And I feel like, if you want to self-reflect, that's a good option of how to do it. It's not the only option, but I think it's a good way to feel supported, and for also somebody to like look at your life and go, oh no, that wasn't okay. Because a lot of times we'll look at stuff and we'll just be like, oh, it was normal. Like my house was just really loud. It was normal. And then you get into the therapy and they were like, actually, no, your parents shouldn't have been shouting all the time, or something like that. And so I think it's kind of like helpful to have another perspective. Hold on.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I think, I always say I don't think therapy is good for guys. For girls, I don't know what it's like. You guys literally have more hormones in your brain. You feel things much stronger. I don't know what it's like to have those feelings. When I'm super stressed, it's here. Maybe if I was a girl, it'd be like up here and difficult to handle. But I do think that for a lot of guys, barring like PTSD from war or like some crazy thing like that, it's like, oh, I'm sad because like my girlfriend broke up with me or something. It's kind of like the more you try to cover up with this band-aid of therapy, instead of like, oh no, I got to improve myself, like fucking get back on the horse, find a new girl, and like you're gonna be fine. But
ooh, I don't think of it like that. I think of therapy as getting on the horse. I feel like it is like a way of doing something for yourself,
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
be
because
fair,
I don't know, like I don't do therapy currently. But I think it's like it's not even about like guy or girl or whatever. It's like literally like where is your mental state at? It's like if you are dealing with things like suicidal thoughts or depression, or if you're really dealing with, intrusive thoughts, these things, I think help is available and there for you, and I think it's very important to take it. I think a lot of times, like, we talk about therapy so much in the media right now that we kind of take it for granted, like doing a journal. And it's like, okay, yeah, maybe like for some people, it's like you just need to go to therapy to talk about your boyfriend. Okay, maybe at that level, we can just talk to our friends or family and like look within our community and build community so that, we can talk to somebody. But I think when we're like suffering from bipolar disorder and we're suffering from PTSD or whatever it is, I think that it is really reasonable to reach out, because what happens like specifically in depression is like you'll get into this place and you don't even realize you're there, and it's just like life becomes so mundane. And I think it's really important for somebody to pull you out of it. And I think also like there are genuine chemical imbalances in the brain that need to be addressed by therapists. And I think that it's super necessary. And so, like, yeah, I think that therapy's there's a lot there. There's a lot that they are studying, and it's not just, oh, my boyfriend broke up with me. It's, hey, I can't get out of bed for 2 weeks.
Yeah. I guess from at least guys, I don't know. Again, I don't know for girls, but most guys I know that have had like depression or something, it always seems to stem from something. Like it stems from, oh, like I'm not successful. I'm on Instagram. I see all these successful people, or like I like don't work out, so like my fucking shit is messed up because I'm not like going to the gym and like getting my heart rate up.
You know what I think though also is that when you're in depression, negative thoughts are really attractive to you, and so when you're going through that kind of like feeling where, yeah, it's really hard to get out of bed. thinking about everything that went wrong in your life is really fun. You're just like, wow, everything sucks. And fixing those things doesn't cure the depression. So you can get that person a new job. You can get that person a new boyfriend. You can get that person a new Ferrari. And they're still going to be struggling. And that's when you have a chemical imbalance. And that's what therapy is like. That's why it was created. So I think that, I think it's a little scary to think of it as a Band-Aid, because I don't think it is. I think it's the first step towards a recovery, and it's the first step towards understanding yourself. And so even if you did get into the depression because you lost your job, maybe it's a good thing to talk to somebody about that and figure out, why is that happening? And it's like, oh, well, maybe because you wrapped up your whole self-worth in your job, or whatever. And I think that for anybody, whether they choose to go to therapy or not, I think that we all need to rely on our communities. And I think that we all need to reach out. And I think we all need to talk more. And, and I think I think connection's good, and they've even done studies about it, like Harvard put out this study where they figured out the happiest people in the world are the ones that have the strongest communities, right?
I believe that.
Yeah. And so, I think that when you find somebody that does have a really strong sense of community, therapy might not be so much on the table. But when you have somebody where, they had a really rough life or they had a really rough moment in their life, I think sometimes therapy is right, because that person could be in a perspective where they're really not going to trust anybody to even open up. And so you're going to want somebody that's trained, to help them. And
that's potentially true, because I will say, like, I have a very close group of the same 6 or 7 guy friends that I've known for the last 7 years since I've been in LA. We all met probably the first year that I moved here, and we've all been close ever since. So it's like I can always call one of them up and just fucking talk it out. Yeah. And I just go to the gym and that just cures everything. Do you feel like painting is a stress reliever or helps out with anxiety, stuff like that for you?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think that I'm the kind of person that I think energy needs to be released. And so if you're angry, then you have to put it somewhere. And so, I find that painting for me really works. Also exercising is a pretty easy one to throw in there. 'Cause you have to move through it, and art's a really good way to move through stuff, I think.
Mm-hmm. How was the painting career going? It's probably one of the hardest fields to make it in, I think.
It is probably one of the hardest fields to make it in. When it comes to painting, I'm in no rush. Being an artist is a very core aspect of who I am. And that way it's also the most important thing to me. And so everything I do, whether it's, working in makeup or working in marketing or even doing, I don't know, what my house looks like, I bring an artistic level into every single thing I do.
I see.
And so when it comes down to the painting, that's what I do when I'm all done with work, and so I get a little bit wary with, wanting to sell myself as a painter, because I never want somebody to ruin it for me. Mm-hmm. And so I don't really want to do commissions. I don't really want to have a boss or, any of those things. Genuinely, if I could paint and just send them off in a truck to an art dealer and that person just totally runs that business for me and they never ask me any questions and they never invite me to the art show, that would be the perfect, kind of environment for me, because I don't like going to my own art shows. I don't like watching people perceive my work. I just like making it. Mm-hmm. And so I try to keep a consistency with the art where I'm having a showing every year, because it's not I don't want to completely run away from it. I just always want to love it, and I don't want it to get jaded because I'm doing so much of it for work. And that's why I do other things that are creative, like makeup, because when it comes down to makeup, a producer or AD or actress could tell me literally anything. They could look at my work and say that they absolutely hate it. And I'll be able to take that very easily and just go, okay, let's work on a solution and let's get this to, a makeup that we all like. If somebody did that with my art, I think I would explode. If somebody comes over and they're like, hey, I think you should paint that purple. Like, first I would paint it yellow, and two, I would kick them out of my studio, so yeah. So it's a little bit easier for me if I don't, prioritize the painting. And
it's interesting. So I went to music school, and I make actually most of my money off, I started a YouTube channel originally doing piano covers. And then I started making a lot more money off a piano course that I had that teaches people how to play piano. And originally, I would have never got into piano to be a piano teacher. But I think it's better if you're really just someone who just loves painting or loves music or whatever creative field. It's more fun to just keep it as a hobby that might make some money here and there, and then have whatever other thing you have that makes money. Unless you really want to become famous. If you want to become famous, okay, go try to be a famous musician or a famous artist. But if that's not your goal, just paint. Just make music. Just whatever, and then do it and then make money some other way. I think it's a happier existence.
Yeah. I also feel I don't know, I feel I do cooler things than just painting. It all started with the painting, and like I said, it's a core part of who I am. But you should see my art installations. You should see my videos that I've produced. You should see, this and that or whatever. It's if I limited myself to just painting, I would be kind of losing part of my potential. It's it's kind of more interesting to see how far can I go? It's how big of a gallery could I do, or how big of a project could I get on? And how could I maximize this thing that I really love.
What's your favorite creative side in terms of all those different routes?
It's a good question. Well, I definitely like working with my hands, and I like physical space, and so I like the art installations a lot because they're massive, and I get to be very with my hands and doing all these tiny little things with my hands. So I really love that. But I also really like producing. So I kind of like having a lot of things to worry about, and trying to keep my head about all of them, and just a lot of things going on at once. And I feel that's something I'm really good at. I can have 15 things going, and I'm going to know about each one of them and not get too lost in it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, some people call that ADHD. I don't really know, but
some people call it being a genius.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. So I like that. And I liked, so a couple of years ago, I went on a road trip and I found this gallery. And so I just moved into the gallery. And I ended up producing an entire art show. So I did 7 sculptures, 5 paintings. And then there was a couple other artists there as well. And so then they all displayed their work. And that was probably one of my favorite things, was collaborating with all of these other people to just kind of I don't know, I felt a lot of my talents were able to be shown that day because I'm producing the show, I'm preparing the space, I'm making flyers, I'm putting them out, getting the community to show up, setting up drinks, setting up food. But then at the same time, it's my show, so I'm sculpting, I'm painting, I'm sewing, I'm, doing all of this artistic stuff as well. And so I kind of like that, when it starts to blend, where it's okay, I've totally produced this event, but then I've also used my art to make it really cool and colorful. And yeah.
Got the art side and the business side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. All right, we are about out of time. I got some rapid fire questions for you. Quick questions, quick answers. Favorite food?
Vindaloo.
The fuck is Vindaloo?
It's Indian curry.
No way.
Yeah.
Is there a restaurant around here that's really good?
No, you cannot get it in LA.
You have to go to India?
No, you have to go to London.
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Favorite candy?
I don't have candy that often. Okay, those really old root beer ones. What? My favorite candy?
Dairy milk.
No, okay. When I was a kid, I liked dairy milk, but now I like the little root beer candies that are like the really old ones that are like they're like hard that
I know you're
grandmas
talking
have.
about. I don't know anybody who likes hard candy the best, unless you're like an old person. But
Yeah, it's because I never have it, so I just
I see.
yeah.
Favorite first date spot or activity?
Nice restaurant, good ambiance, outside, twinkle lights are must. And they also
Twinkle
have
lights.
to have a good wine list and like a good like bread option. I don't know.
Where they take the bread at the start.
Yeah, like bread and wine, I feel like outside, twinkle lights, lots of plants.
Have you been to Isabel?
No, I haven't.
It's a good.
Yeah.
It meets all those characteristics.
Yeah.
What's next on your travel destination? What's the place you haven't been you want to go?
Oh, so where's the place that I want to go or where's the place that I'm going next?
That you want to go.
The next place I want to go. So I really want to go to. It's a split between Greece and Australia. So Australia is the only continent I've not been to, other than Antarctica,
Where have you been in Africa?
Morocco.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're about out of time. Where can people find you? Any shout outs you want to give to Instagram, anything like that?
Ooh, yeah. You can follow me on Instagram at Kaylee. I don't know how to do this. Do I spell it?
Yeah.
I don't have like a catchy name.
Kayli, right?
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm on Instagram, Kaylee_Elizabeth. And it'll be tagged in this video so they can see how it's spelled. I'm also Look the Artist and I work for Mud Cosmetics. So
Awesome. Well, we'll have to do round 2 sometime. This was fun.
yeah, it was great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for listening.